And good evening, everybody. Welcome to TFC Live. This is Season 3, Episode 6, the weekly update, the weekly rollback, the weekly update, the weekly rollback. It's one of those weeks, okay. But we'll see what we've got, and we'll roll with it, because we're those sort of people. First of all, I'll say hello to my fellow admins. Hello, George. How are you, mate?
Good evening, good evening. How's everybody?
I'm liking the logo. The change. A bit of a Bucky
I had
there in
some
the middle.
fun today.
Bit of a Hydra there. Liam's in. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, guys? How are you?
Finally managed to work out how to turn that PC on.
Who's that?
I'm a little late, Well, I was a little late to the pre-show, but I made it on time for the main show.
Excellent. Good. Ren, how you, mate?
Hey, doing well.
Good,
Funny
good.
story.
Go on.
There are two British guys, one American guy and one Brazilian in this panel today, right?
Yeah.
And out of the four, the one that keeps track of time for us to start the show is the Brazilian. Go figure.
Which doesn't make sense. They're normally the most laid-back people and never on time.
Right?
Isn't that weird? Yeah, you're fair point. Fair point. Anyway, and hello to all those in live chat there. Welcome. We've got some usual rogues in there, obviously. Ford's in there moderating at the moment, so I'm sure he'll keep you on the straight and narrow. Right, we'll go straight into some slides. There's not a huge amount this week, but some of the stuff that has come out, I think, is pretty important. So it's a good talking point. So we'll bring them up. We'll have a quick look, and then we can pause on a couple and make it a bit of a discussion point. So follow us in live chat and join in the fun.
Yeah, and once we're done with the slides, we'll do them again because that's how the update happened, right?
Yeah, we have to go back and then
yeah, we'll go back and do it again.
Oh dear.
No, we'll pull the slides.
Yeah, and we'll go to last week's slides because they're just as good. Anyway, right, okay. So that's about all we've got really for this week. Something's a little bit controversial about the TLCs as far as I'm concerned, but we'll get to that. So first one then, here we go. Quite a busy screen, but I'll just let you look at it. So Hunter game is there. For those that didn't get it, obviously, you can get the houndstooth. There's a big blur at the top there, but basically you can get the houndstooth, and then obviously you can get the important thing obviously is the PBX payload, and you'll need that for another TLC as well. Obviously pack 3, there are tokens. Yet again, very, very annoying. It's it's the chest again, isn't it? So if you're lucky, you'll get lots of tokens. If you're not so lucky, you'll get sod all tokens. So it's up to 4 days, as it says there. Moving across to Prize Pack 4. Yet again, look, you got some charged armor then. So that's the CT1, the C1 CT, sorry, which is obviously very important for that hull. And yet another skirmisher chest. Moving on then to the Mastery run, which is what everybody really needs. And if you can do it this time, it'd be highly advantageous that you did it. And obviously then you get the flagship, which is the Apex Hunter as well. What is quite reasonable, there is quite a good amount of tokens, and you have potential to get a very good drop on tokens if you are lucky. I don't know how it's going to work out, but anyway.
Now this is the one where we can do the prize pack 1 and 2 with tides, right?
Yeah.
Because that PBX is required for the next one, I believe.
Yes, it is. That's the minimum requirement. Yeah. So that gets you into something that a lot of people never built, i.e., the submarines. Which so bear this in mind. And this is like the trigger to get, because I mean there's 3 sort of like TLCs going at the moment. There's one that's sort of like halfway through from last week, but obviously to get through to the mastery round, you need submarines and you need obviously this fleet here as well. So if you've not got this fleet here and you went all subs, then here's a chance to at least get you the right type of ship. And if you watch some of the online videos very carefully, there is a way to do the level 7, which is actually designed for this target to trick around and use submarines and then go into a final kill with one of these hubs, one of these hulls. So, but you have to be a pretty good driver to do that. Anyway, Hunter's Game's on. It's on, like I say, right through to the 14th, which is pretty reasonable. Its first 2 rounds are with Apollos. Sorry, with not Apollos, with Tide Seekers.
Skyfires.
Is it Skyfires? Is it this one?
Well, Hunter Game is the one you need assault fleets to complete.
Yeah, I went to Prize Pack 3 with Skyfires.
Straight through.
Straight through at Prize Pack 3. I've not tried 4 yet because I've been busy.
Because you've already got. Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah. So with my Skyfires, I did packs 2 and 3 in a row, Took about 3 hours and a half of damage from both price packs non-stop. Then last night I did price pack 4. Was not too bad. And encounter number 7 is the one where the Skyfires can finish Rudolph. So I went in with subs and I killed Rudolph with subs.
What subs, Ren? Thanks.
This time I used Fangs because I have them now, but before I used the Hell Wraith. It just takes a lot longer with the Hell Wraith.
It's about two sort of like, because obviously surface, it takes about 2 trips, doesn't it, to go up and back and then up and back.
More, because the resistances are up, so it takes about 4 trips with Hell Wraiths. It's about 10 minutes with Hell Wraiths just to kill Rudolph. So you need time management. It's hard.
Yeah, can I just say as well, like this, my Skyfires are the Skyfire, because I never built Skyfires, I built Phoenixes. So when Kickstarter was selling Skyfires the other week, they were selling 4 Skyfires and a Skyfire flag. Although I had all the tech, it just seemed like a really cheap deal. So I picked up that fleet. And it was quite, I would say it's a basic build because it carries like 2 D2Ms and 2 of the other one. And no charge armors on that fleet. And I was able to go to prize pack 3 without needing to repair my fleet.
Okay, cool. That's interesting.
So prize pack 1 to 3 definitely isn't tailored towards having charge armor on that fleet. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, well, particularly price pack 3. I'm interested about that one because, like I say, if you can get to price pack 2 with the previous year's versions of ships, then that makes it quite interesting. Okay. So drop rates then, Ren. How did you get on in price pack 3? What did you get out of the 1 to 4?
I got 2.
You got 2.
Yeah, and I did price pack 4, and I got 2 again. 2 Hunter build tokens.
Okay, so right in the middle, sort of. Yeah.
I got 2 as well in price pack 3.
Which I don't need because I have the full fleet, but I'm just doing, because in the future they release some new weapon, whatever. I have the tokens. That's why.
But it is a skirmish. Yeah, because I say it's a skirmisher, not linked to the actual model of that ship, is it? It's
no. What I'm getting there is all specific to the Hunter.
Oh, is it?
The one that has generic tokens is the other TLC. Hidden Depths. That one has generic skirmish tokens.
Oh, right, because these chests say skirmisher chests. They don't say Hunter.
No, but at least in price pack 3 and price pack 4, I got Hunter build tokens.
Yeah, okay. Same for me. Mine was Hunter, not skirmish.
It's just because price pack 4, they release notes says skirmisher chest random drops. But as in price pack 3, it does say actually, up to 4 days of Hunter. It does say that in price pack 3. So
I thought that this TLC was great, though, by the way. Great move from Kix.
It's a good one for you, personally, mate, isn't it? I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, my Hunters were probably more further along than my Fangs, but as you all know, that was a raid period that I didn't really have much time to play, so Hunters and Fangs is something I was very behind on.
That's when you were preparing for everybody else's marriages but your own. Yeah, I know. Sorry, mate.
I know.
And good evening, Lucy.
always the bridesmaid.
She didn't get that far, did she, bless her? So bear in mind, if you've got half his stuff or not half his stuff, the PBX is your in to the next one, which we'll talk about that now, which isn't half as bad, and actually because it's 1 round less. But what's nice about it is you get a stack of tokens for this one. So the Hidden Depths, clearly this is the one where the the Fangtooth blueprint is released. Yeah, the Bluetooth one. Yeah, so it's released in price pack 1 with quite a reasonable amount of tokens, 5. But getting to price pack 2, you're going to get another stack, 6, isn't it? Which is nice, and some VXP as well. So that's not bad. That gets you sort of on the road and moving along quite nicely. So that's 11 days worth of tokens. Hopefully you might have stacked up with some charge beforehand, but and then price pack 3 it jumps across then, and there's another 7 over there as well. So and some really big then VXP tokens as well, 30Ks worth. So don't armor them up until you get over to that direction if you're trying to build early. So
I like that we don't have chests in this one. Although in the other one, I'm a little surprised that they made the chests do Hunter tokens again if they were going to do chests again.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to be generic.
Skirmish.
Yes,
yeah.
Unless it can be generic or it can be Hunter, but I only got Hunter.
No, it says Hunter when you mouse over it. It actually tells you that.
Does it? Right.
Hunter.
Okay. Even the price pack.
The goal of both is just like everybody knows the uranium targets will change to the new targets, and there have also been chances to get siege fleets through skirmish TLCs. The Herculean is on, right? Where you can get the tokens and hydrant stuff.
Yeah.
So they're just giving us many chances of getting the Fangtooth and getting the Hunter and getting tokens for one or the other. People who have one fleet can now get the other, vice versa. People who are still at Tide Seekers can at the very least now get the Fangtooth, because assuming they have the PBX, so they got to have something half decent for assault. It's not bad. I mean, it's funny how some people always complain, because I saw people complaining on the TFC page that, oh, KXI is offering the same fleets again, and I just got them last month. Like, what's the problem then? You got it.
Then don't do it.
Other people get it too, right?
There's someone in our Alliance Mark group, and he was running Tide Seekers because he wasn't in a position to be able to win the prizes when this raid was out. So he's been running Tide Seekers, and he said to me the other day, in fact, he said to me for a couple of weeks now, like, what am I going to do when they change over? And then the second this campaign come out, he said to me, I just won Fangs, I'm so happy.
All over it, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think again, this campaign was even better than the last campaign we looked at. I mean, I for one didn't have the Phantom Fangtooth, and it was absolutely great to get that. I ran straight through prize pack 1 to 4 with Hunters and took about 25% damage to the fleet across every prize pack. So it was a great campaign, and I managed to get the whole fleet built and finished and adjust the other 4, and still have like 16 days of tokens left. It was just a great.
I mean, I like this one particularly. I mean, they've really sort of, it's not a gift as such, but look, you've got 5 days, you've got 6 days, you've got 7 days, and if you get to price pack 4, there's 20 days. And that really gets people ahead, in the building phase, when we're really trying to, if you pause in between doing your Hydras or your Buckies, you can go, right, I've got this many, I've got this week's FM and that stuff. You can get 2 or 3 subs out easily.
Yeah. There's 25. Is it a total of 25 days of standard Fangtooth and then 20 days of Phantom Fangtooth, and then the 3-day one skirmisher? Because for me, the Phantom Fangtooth was like 24 days. So using the free 1-day skirmisher 20, it was instant build.
Yeah. I think that's the hit, and that's the key ship, isn't it? If you can get through that transforms the fleet completely.
Yeah, and seeing like TLCs that specifically said need Fangs for this TLC, like the Herculean TLC, really you need Fangs for that TLC, so basically they're saying, well, here you go, have Fangs.
Yeah, and this will get you through. Now, the thing I like about this as well, now a lot of those fleets that were out there for sale, a lot of people like going through do the purchases. A lot of those fleets didn't have the Fangtooth Phantom with the offers.
It was never offered.
So they've got a lot of this stuff here, but they can go straight into price pack 4, with their fleets and that sort of stuff. Grab that ship and then build it straight away, taking them straight into the TLC. Then that really that ship is absolutely required for. I'd say it's excessively hard if you don't have that ship. Just because
one thing I think was Rampage mentioned on the release notes today. He said, well, these TLCs are there, and the co-op targets are going to come back next week, or you can get charged armor. So it's a multi-step thing where, okay, now you can get the Hunter and tokens, the Fangs and token, the flagships and tokens. On the Hunter one, you could get some CT charged armor, and then next week the co-op targets come back and you can get more charged armor, so if you don't have the X one, right? It's, the opportunities to get things are there.
Well, I think just going back two weeks ago, we were discussing on the show. All of us here were discussing how we felt that there should be charge armors more frequently. We all needed more charge armors. They should be making them more available, and it looks like they are, because I still need charge. I still need X's, M's, CTs. I need loads of charge armors for many different fleets. So for any chance of getting caught up, getting some tokens, getting some charge armors, I mean, it looks like they're listening and doing things right at the moment. I don't want to pat them too much, because maybe something will go disastrously wrong next week, but it's going well at the moment.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. And although I think this particular TLC should have maybe come out 3 weeks ago, but it's here. So you know, there is, you know, people in the chat saying, you know, GDR making his presence felt quickly. You know, there is a step in the right direction, and let's hope that, you know, don't expect this wave of stuff to continue, you know, at this level. But once we've got back into a level where people, I think, have got a level playing field again, I think we can, you know, maybe encourage the odd new player or returning player. There's definitely some people returning, because, you know, we've had 2 on the show in the last 2 weeks, you know, who've come back, of old players who used to play, you know, Blackwater days are back into the game and trying again. So
and on that note, Mark, like, I mean, obviously, if a player, it does take, say, a year out or 6 months out, or even a new player, you know, and they're faced with the challenge of having to get titanium or base parts or uranium, they're not going to have the fleets, you know, they're not going to have the Fangs and the Hunters or the Skyfires and the Phoenixes. And if that is the fleets required to gain that in-game resource, then we should always have those fleets available. They should be repeating Phoenixes and Skyfires. They should be always making these holes available so people can actually win them and then go out and do the in-game stuff that that hole's needed for.
Well, we've been hopping on that for months and months now. I mean, once that thing started going on the map, I've asked for that specifically, like every week. That was the thing that I put forward. I said every week, just bring out a TLC that has a shore fleet in it. Every week, it's a different TLC every week. You don't have to repeat them every. You know, I mean, there's enough shore fleets out there that you don't have to have a bajillion of them every time showing up. But it opens up the access for everybody to have a go.
The only interesting thing I do think is quite interesting is I mean, I didn't include it in this. There was a little. I mean, I did put in there, getting you ready for the February raid. This one sort of does get you ready, not to the greatest level, because this is a stepping stone to do the other TLC, which has already been going for a week to get you the bits that that you require. But it's definitely, I think, you know, an aid. It's, you know, I'm not thinking you don't get something in life for free, and if you want to go all the way and get a full fleet, clearly it's going to cost you, and you're going to have to do it. Rather than saying, right, here's a fleet to buy, they've sort of like giving you the taster and going, you can get about 3 ships ready. You know, you'll need to get some charge armor on it, so that is going to cost you. Either you build less subs or you build the right amount of subs but with less charge. And as Liam has said, he managed to get to price pack 3 without having to put any charge on at all, you know, on some ships. So it's a decision, and it's a decision for each individual player which way you want to go. But now you have options. That's the point.
Yeah, I think Jeff Schuler was saying today, he only had Hunters, no Fangs at all, and he was very frustrated for the past few months when he was locked out of TLCs because he didn't have Fangs.
Yep.
And he was just saying in the admin chat, TFC admin chat, that he was able to get 4 Fangs and the Phantom Fang built without armor and only missing 2 torpedoes each.
Wow, that's good.
You know, that's very close to done, you know.
Yeah, and with good driving, you know, I mean, you can get away with an awful lot with some decent driving. And if he's a good sub driver, then he's, you know, the charge armor isn't the. Yes, you got to be careful, but it's only in the latter stages you got to be particularly careful. If you're a really good sub driver, you can get away with an awful lot if you're canny, you know.
I often run my subs with no armor, you know.
Of course you do, mate.
No, you don't need them.
I don't need armor. I barely need torpedoes, you know.
Not what I'm driving them for, you. No, anyway.
Yeah, on that subject. No.
Okay, so there we go. Hidden Depths. Okay, so that's the second one of the. Yet again, that one runs on to the 14th. But if you do need one of these items here to get you forward to the other TLC, bear in mind then that one's already started and then the clock is ticking. So just remember that. Don't think you've got like to the 14th and then it goes on again, because it's not. So just make sure check your timers on your TLCs, just to make sure that things don't run out and you don't spoil your own game sort of like by not taking notice of that. But I've never seen so many tokens being given out before. I think that is definitely a win for the player.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, at least.
I would sell my soul for a Tech Up TLC right now, but hey, you know, I'm not going to push it too far.
Yeah, don't expect too much. Right, okay, let's move on to the next slide then. What do we got? Let's have a look. It wasn't many, I still can't remember what the next one is. Ah, yes. So a little look ahead. So I managed to pull together what I could find in various different locations. So February's raid info. This is all we've got. We've got a start date. We know it's the 15th of February. Okay. We know it goes right through until the 19th. It's normally sort of like depending on where you are in which world. Obviously, it doesn't change. If you're staying in the same world, it goes from that 9 a.m. kickside time and rolls through and that sort of stuff. So Bishop's Rock in the UK. You know, it's a comedy sort of name in some areas, but for Bishop's Rock in the UK is a lighthouse right in the far pinnacles down in the southwest. But it probably means something different in other countries. It certainly did when I started Googling it anyway. But that's the name of it. It's Bishop's Rock. I'm trying to keep a straight face here while I'm saying it. Now, fortunately, it says here, these particular two turrets are the ones that are sort of like have been causing a bit of interest. Now, George, do you want to pick up on this bit and go for your discussion of what we were talking about countermeasures in these two turrets and your concerns, particularly between the A sets and the S?
Well, you know, I think part of it was the way that it was explained was that it sounds like it was coded a specific way going by the CM type rather than what we're traditionally used to of, you know, missiles done by X, Y, and Z, right? So like with the Fire Archer turret, which launches, that's the one that launches a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, do you think that's just a lazy, because it's basically a rocket, isn't it? But it looks like a missile, or it acts as a rocket because it's, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the one that, I mean, it looks like a bunch of missiles. When it launches, it looks like a ton of missiles. The turret looks like missile, but Phalanx won't touch it. That one will go to the Sprint. The Sprint will shoot down those, and I don't know. You know, it's weird too because sometimes in some of those targets, I don't know if they're two different turrets because I would have some that I would be able to shoot down, and I'd shoot down all but like maybe one sometimes, and then I'd come around a corner and I'd get this other one where I shot down one out of like all 8 of them.
Yeah,
it was very strange.
Doesn't that boil down to like the luck of the draw in terms of accuracy?
Well, no, but isn't
7 to 1 ratio? Yeah, a 7 to 1 ratio is kind of extreme.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, I kind of had that experience too. Like I've now had 3 different builds on my hydras, and like the first build seems to counter really well. The second build countered terribly, and then the third build is like perfect. But it's so unpredictable. Like, and what you think will work doesn't seem to work. Like, I don't know. It's hard to really understand how it operates because what should necessarily work and benefit certain countermeasures doesn't actually seem to, and then you put on something else and it actually ends up working better.
The thing, I mean, so the Archer's turret, obviously the Fire Archer turret, obviously that's a you know it's a given. Wherever it decides to fire, it's going to land exactly where it started. So as soon as it starts its arc of fire, you can possibly, not always, but you can possibly outrun the fire field. You know, so it's not imperative you shoot every single one of them down, but as you're gliding underneath, which is a good way of doing it, like kiting things, then those that pass over your head, ideally because the way the Sprint works, it's an area of effect one, as in it's splash based, then you should be able to get yourself out of that situation. But sometimes there are some turrets that you don't want to be running into, and you can get yourself boxed in if you aren't careful. That's when you get into, like Liam said there, you want to be able to go, well, I should be able to, if I put on this number of sprints, knock them all down with the overlapping effect, the way they work. But it doesn't seem to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is too is some of these are in different targets. Like I don't know that one of these. I think the one on the right is not in the, or wasn't in the Buccaneer S target, but it was in all the A sets. And I have no idea if it was in the Hydras because I still haven't even. I still don't even have a complete Hydra ship.
That was in the Hydra S. Yes, it was. I on those specifically. That's what I did. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it also depends on what what you're using and what you're going with. But that Legion Inferno launcher is not a launcher.
It's not a launcher.
It's a Legion Inferno, maybe missile launcher.
Yeah.
I forgot a word. You know,
It's like a Scud missile that launches, isn't it?
It's the Legion's version of an RPG, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something like that. It's
like a-
basically
it's like a
tracks.
but that one's the one that the Phalanx will shoot down. And even
Can
though it's
shoot down. I'm not saying
can
will.
shoot down,
It
yeah,
helps,
not will,
yeah.
but can. Yes, it helps a lot.
So I added the word help
But the
because it's not guaranteed.
but the sprint will not.
Well, see, I was getting about a 9 out of 10 ratio on the Inferno launcher.
Really?
It only fires one.
Consistently, yeah.
Oh, you mean out of
every 10, I was
I would
firing
take 10
it down,
turrets.
I was firing it down 9 out of 10 times, basically.
All right. Okay.
But that's with like the flag probably with 3 to 4 phalanx, and then a phalanx on each ship as well.
Wow,
So
that's a lot of firepower loss, isn't it?
That's quite heavy, to be fair.
I mean, that's a ship missing, basically, then,
Yeah.
due to so many countermeasures. Yeah, it's a trade-off, isn't it? But the thing is, that one there tracks and it hits your ship and then causes the fire field. No matter what you're going to do and how clever your driving is, it's coming for you and it's going to get you. So if it gets through you, the phalanx, you're getting some. It's as simple as that, and it'll track you. So yet again, I suppose, if it's on its way in, it's going to cause a fire field. As soon as you can get out of that fire field, you're going to help you charge armor. Don't know where that power is going to sit in this raid, whether we've got any escalation coming. God only knows, but wouldn't surprise
So in a
me.
way, that's good news, right?
Yeah, it is.
What you just said in there, I mean, no matter what you do, you're going to get some. So all you lonely guys out there, no matter what you do, you're going to get some. TSM said so.
Yeah, of one type of another. If you play this TLC, you're going to get some. It's not all
You're
going
gonna
to
get
be good, though. So flaming arseholes, literally. Right, so bear that in mind. There we go. That's the thing. Sprints will work for that turret. Okay, then. And then, obviously, the phalanx will help countermeasure the other one. So I just thought
I am kind of a little curious because we don't have it on the slide, but they wanted to reduce the complexity of the game, but then something like this comes out, and I just kind of wonder, wouldn't it have been easier to just change like the graphics a little bit?
I think it was a bit lazy on that particular. The Archer's turret is a very lazy. But because we know what that turret is.
But the thing is the mechanic itself is messed up too, because it's not coded by the weapon type. This time it's coded by the CM type for the counter. It's weird, like the way they explained it.
You're trying to. I know what you're doing, and it makes sense. But for the average Joe or Jane out there, who ends up mixing countermeasures on the same ship, and then the less accurate outranges the more accurate, and they don't understand why it's not working. This is actually easy. No matter how you set up your countermeasures, it doesn't matter if the sprint has a longer range than the flanks or whatever. They're going to shoot the right turret. They're not going to
you know what? I don't buy that, because if that was the reason why they did that, they could have done
if you don't buy that, that's your choice. I'm just saying it's one benefit of the way it's done.
Let me finish. If that was really their intent, they could have done a mortar that did missile damage or radioactive damage. So we would have a mortar and a missile.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes more sense, because we have a launcher that gets shot down by a phalanx. So that's not.
I'm not in their heads to judge their intent or to claim that I know their intent. I'm just saying that's what happens in the end. It's easier for the average Joe.
Oh yeah, but there are much more consistent paths to that would make more sense than this. I mean, hopefully this is the last time we see something like this too. Maybe
Do you
after
know what,
this
mate? At
raid
least they're visually cool. I quite like them.
Yeah,
but they're visually cool.
I would like to have that color. Yeah,
top end. That's all.
I want to see those. I would like to have those turrets on my base.
Yeah,
It's level 10.
That's happened in many of the things. Remember that? What was the thing when we had the very first Phantom the Hellwraith, and there was those like screwy bomblets that would just chase you all over the screen at range.
Hunter Killer Mortar.
They were mental.
Oh yeah, the psychedelic mortars. Oh man, that's
the Hunter Killer Mortar.
Why can't we have some of them?
I don't know, but that thing got me so frustrated. I mean, I actually did that split blitz thing on that target because those were frustrating me so bad. I just gave up. And I went, holy crap, this actually works.
It's tangents, but wouldn't those be really good if you could fit that on a module on a megaship?
Oh,
face people's incoming fleet.
Dude, that would be neat.
Can you guys remember was it the Kraken? and it had that. It was like a torpedo that looked like a big explosive that would just shoot across the screen.
Yeah, it just come launching at you, and it was as it went into deep dive. Yeah, flipping thing. Yeah,
but no matter where you were, it had like a range of 1 million.
Yeah, it just got you basically, didn't it? And you had to try and run at it as fast as you can before it went deep diving and that sort of stuff. So anyway, lots of innuendos tonight. Right, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's what I've got on the February raid. I dug around. That's the picture of that interesting looking individual up there. But hey, you know, that's it. Bishop's Rock. Those are the dates. That's the name of the raid.
He looks like he face planted a couple of times up against a brick wall.
Yeah, this is 3 of 4. Just bear that in mind, isn't it? No, 2 of 3. 2 of 4, isn't it? 2 of 4 in. We should be getting. Have they mentioned what targets we're actually getting yet? Have they said what we're getting exactly? I'm not really sure if they have or not. I'm hoping they're not getting too carried away. But at least, you know, Rampage put this together, and I just like grabbed it all from a different couple of posts and put it on one page. So I think it was actually Laredo put the dates out on as confirmation on the forum. So. But the turret piece is what Rampage put up, so I collated it all together. Right. Now a bit of controversy, I think. Let's move on a slide.
No way.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll deliver these 3 because it got bigger as we went on. Because I thought I'll get ahead and I'll just put some stuff up, and then obviously we roll forward, we roll back, we roll forward. So we'll do them, and then we'll flip back and we'll look at the implications. I think is of why. This is actually quite important.
Do we have a slide of the corrections and the retro stuff?
Yeah, don't worry.
We do. Okay.
Yeah, I did that in balance because we've retitled it for this season. We've retitled it balance and bug fixes now, not just bug fixes and tuning. So, because sometimes it's not a tune, it's a bug. But anyway, so
alliteration. That's all it is.
Yeah. So the revised Scourge 57s, and well, you can read it there. And so these are going to come back on the 20th, apparently. So that's the day after the raid, or day after the raid. So when the raid obviously kicks in.
I hope they look at the 35 too. Did anyone else try it while they were still on the map? Because I took an hour of damage on the 35.
I kept well away from it. Yeah,
I mean, I was like, wow, that's you know.
Do you know why I'm not interested in them? Is because it's so annoying that Fangs and Hunters have such low res.
Yeah.
Like for me,
particularly Hunters are terrible. It's like 7k across the whole fleet for that damage. That's ridiculous. By the time you fix your fleet, because they do take a lot of damage, you've gone out. You may as well get some normal flipping res from some of the flipping things out on the seas. It's just...
I've still been using Tide Seekers to just go out and auto, and just because that fills me up a res at the same time, and that's my main res income now.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. I mean, you can send out your Buckies and that sort of stuff, you know, with your take out your FM flagship, you know, your Zelos, and then just go and take some normal res, fill up on that, because they're 8,000 per ship, the Buccaneer. And Hydra's the same, like, you know, it's just, it's nuts. Anyway. But yeah, it is what it is. So they're coming back, including the new replacement for the 102. So I'm intrigued what that's going to be as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, I you know, part of me is like, oh, I hope it's not as bad as, you know, the 57s, 75s, and the 35s were. And then part of me is like, you know, I think if the 102s come out and they're really hard but pay out a ton, like I only got to hit like 2 or 3 of them to fill up, you know, that I could probably deal with. You know? I just don't know which way they went with it, but I really would like to see a little bit more difficult of a target that I only have to do 1 or 2 or 3 of and just repair overnight and not have to worry about spending as much time on chores. You know, they have an opportunity here. Let's see what they do with it.
A chore monkey. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okie dokie. So TAC modules are back to normal, by the way, guys. I hope you made the most of that. It was extended. Okay, we did talk about that obviously at the weekend show as well. So they're back to normal times now. If you haven't had a chance then to take away all that extra sort of like explosive sort of like you know, power increase, you know, from putting the multiple sort of you know, bonuses to your epic cats, then unfortunately you're gonna have to go back to the old way now and use your base parts. But what was it, 2 days and a bit? Is it for a TAC module normally? I think it is, something like that. It's not horrendous, though, is it?
I just wait until I have base parts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In base parts terms, I think it's about 2 days and a bit, which is like a couple of, well, it's like 103 or a couple of the 99s. It's not horrendous. It is just annoying if you've got to go and do more. But I quite enjoyed clicking around and just changing different ones.
Yeah, it was neat. I actually, unfortunately, I did a big boo boo because I was like, oh, I noticed like someone hit me with one of the new hulls, and I was like, oh, I gotta tweak this because that's a spot where I gotta change a little bit. And one of the turrets that I wanted to put in was the 13-day one, you know. And I was like, about an hour later, I went, oh, I can't believe I just did that.
So
I was like, oh, well,
back.
You know, I'm not gonna cancel it. Screw that.
Yikes!
I let it run.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I managed to finally get mine done. So I did mess around with a couple of the just because it was free to do. And I was like, oh, that could do that, and that could do that. Didn't really boost my turrets at all, to be honest. But you know, it made a good defensive capability, so that'll do for now.
Did they fix the display issue that was going on where when you scroll down, sometimes it would say like 50%, sometimes it say 130, sometimes it said 10. I never checked. Sometimes it does the same thing. Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of people picked up on the page. So you know the bonus protection, that sort of stuff, or the bonus damage. Sometimes it's got like all different readings. I don't know why it is.
That was Kickside live tested.
Yeah, it's a rollback, roll forward. It's the first preview of that. So yeah, I mean you don't do any changes. You just log out, log back in, and you got a different value, which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it, but yeah, it is what it is. Now this is the next one. So, really simple sentence, but it has a huge implication. Okay, so correct a number of situations where basically the OP cannons were being treated like turrets, and those stats were affected turrets do not affect the Omega weapons. So people had that conundrum, oh, if I put this on my OP, it's going to do this to the OP gun. It doesn't do jack shit to the OP gun. The OP gun is the OP gun. Whatever the raw figure is the OP gun, that's what you get. And the OP gun is pretty powerful, I have to say, because there's a reason why it's quite powerful, and it's all to do with, obviously, Siege Battery, isn't it?
Well, so do you think the OP gun is OP?
It should be, because it's fit to the OP. The fact that it's now fixed, and the fact that now that, I don't know if it actually says on the next slide, I can't remember, but the fact that it was being affected by Siege Battery, which it shouldn't be, because the OP gun isn't a turret.
Right. Well, it is, but
is yeah. Okay.
It's actually when it was released, it was called an OP turret. It was the
Omega they call it an Omega weapon now. They've stopped calling it turrets. Yeah. So that's the first little play on words there. So it's an Omega weapon, not a turret. Okay.
Yeah.
And in fact, the weapons, the turrets are the things that actually put the weapons on top. So maybe pedantic, I suppose we could do that, couldn't we?
I think this line though in the notes, I think was speaking more towards Siege Battery not working anymore.
It was connected with Siege Battery, but the so what of that has now a knock-on effect that because of the above changes, that the Omega weapons now have no Siege Battery has no effect now that they fixed Siege Battery. Means now that some of the holes, not the Omega, not the Onslaught, but the Kings, the Eviscerator, and the Boulder, because we all know how weak Eviscerator was to the OP ballistic cannon, have had a massive boost in their ballistic deflection.
The only thing that I question about these numbers though is that the King's Root went from 110 to 310, but then
which is a worry on bypasses.
Well, yeah, but the Evi went from 83 to 340. How did it go from being worse than the King to better than the King?
I don't know.
I mean, I can't follow along sometimes.
George, it's really none of your business, George, right?
It's my job to deliver detail. Yeah. I don't know how they do it or why they do it.
Yeah, but I think the bottom line is the Omega cannon delivers just over 400,000 damage. Before, this was being cut in half by Siege Battery or FCLS or Garrison Battery, you name it. And now it's not anymore. So now it's actually hitting with 400,000 damage at the center of the point of impact. So that makes the Boulder Fist immune to it. The Eviscerator will take some damage from it, about 60k if it's dead center. And that's it. I mean, now what you can do, for instance, on the Eviscerator, if you add one of those CP Compound Plate 5, it takes just over 400,000, and then it's immune as well. If you want to do the King's Rate, then you need actually more than one, CP5 plate if you want to make it immune, and then that's it, right?
But
Now,
then-
splash damage reduction still works against it, and high speed also works because you can move out of the point of impact and take less damage.
So, yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people put on a lot of plating for their, these new plates onto their King's Ritz and then find out they were a bit pumped, to be honest. Now that they've adjusted the OP cannon, the OP weapon, and now they've adjusted the siege battery and apparently got that working. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm sure.
Yeah, Ford tested and it's working.
Okay, good. Then maybe the Kings may come back to life again now, because it was pathetically weak, in fact, this time last week, and has been all weekend. It just basically melted instantly when it got near, or slowed down, and the OP cannon was just knocking the pants off the thing, and eviscerators as well. Sometimes they were taking like just 3 shots to kill them. I know we don't know everyone's builds, but nobody survived more than sort of 5 to 7 shots.
Yeah. Now the cool thing is, it became the motion cannon became a lot more effective against the onslaught because it has no deflection, and even if you add 3 times CP5, you're still at 190,000 deflection. So you're still going to take 200,000 if one of those pellets hit you dead center. You're going to take 200,000, and that's 10% of the ship's health in one single hit if you're not moving. So base hitters will have to be smarter about how they drive their fleets.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm interested to pick up on the big alliances then, and we'll probably chat about it the weekend and see what they think about it, because they're the ones that are obviously going to notice. It's a shame it didn't happen, obviously, ready for weekly alliance points, because that would have been a good way to confirm.
The other impact of that people are not talking about, and Kixeye didn't talk about, it's the older Omega weapon, the Gatling gun. Because that Gatling gun was also being affected by Siege Battery, FCLS, and Garrison Battery, cutting damage in half, and now it's not anymore. So I'll give you a very simple example, okay? If you had a tank, and the tank, like the King's Rit, was taking damage from the old Omega weapon, and then you put a bus and you put 2 sloths, you add the 22,000 deflection to it now, right?
Yeah.
And that was enough to make your spotter immune to the old Omega weapon, because the old one is 800,000 damage divided by 15 salvo, so it's about 53k damage per pellet. Okay? 53. Before, you would divide that by 2 because of turret defense, so 53 now becomes 26. Now, a buzz and 2 slots will be adding 22 deflection, so if your ship had about 4, hey, you're good, you're immune to that, right? Now, not anymore, because each pellet's dealing 53k concussive damage. So the old, spotter plus slots and blah, blah, blah doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I don't think
you need one of the new armors. That's my point at U6U.
Yeah, and those people that rushed out and put it on and then went, that was the worst thing I did. Don't armor up your... I think that may come back now, that actually you might have inadvertently done the right thing in some respects. Don't overload them, but yeah, I think definitely 2 on one of the hulls, and, the Boulder Fist has come lovely now, hasn't it? 410 there straight away, because the Boulder Fist, unfortunately, one of the latter ones to be delivered, and in the last bounty as well, as the cheap rate one, seemed like the poor cousin, didn't it? And now it's not so bad. And we can, it's brought itself back in, I think. But just watch the OP cannon, because it's going to be interesting. Now, this OP cannon, does that mean it's going to do just minimum bypass numbers for those that get over that magic figure? Should do, shouldn't it?
Yeah. If you're over 400,000 deflection, then it's only going to do minimum pass-through.
Yeah, so just treat it like anything else that's shooting at you. And to be honest, it fires like once every, 12? It's not affected by anything else. And is it like once every 12 seconds or something? So it's not exactly going to do a huge amount, is it? So for those individuals, particularly the Boulder Fist, like that, I think. But anyway, I don't know what it's, as you were saying about changing back to the other gun, I don't know what its concussive protection is. I can't remember, to be honest. But anyway, so that's
What
screen one. Sorry, yeah, go on, mate.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I like that they're trying to balance it, because I mean, let's face it, we're gonna have the growing pains right at the beginning of the year. I'd rather have them do all this crap right now, get it done, and get everything nice and level going forward, so we can have like another 2016, hopefully. What I do wish I had seen though, and I hope they think about this going forward, is, you know, when something like this happens, I really, really would have liked to see some sort of TLC or event, or maybe, you know, putting the 120 targets back out and having generic Conqueror build tokens out, because I know I have a bunch of stuff that I need to refit now, right? Because this changes a lot of the stuff that I had my Ritz built, or my Boulder Fists built for. So that would have been a nice little side thing to do at the same time, to kind of ease the pain, because now is when you want to, you know, if you're doing the whole new tier 7 thing and all that stuff, now is when you want to get rid of all the bumps. Have it bumpy now and have it smooth the rest of the year.
Yeah, he did say it was going to be uncomfortable for a couple of months while they get things back in line. So,
Yep.
But obviously, and I understand for the big alliances, being uncomfortable works both ways. Unfortunately, it's not all in certain people's favor, and some people really just dislike that massively. So, you know, roll with it or don't roll with it. I mean, it's happening. So, you know, it's your decision. Which leads on nicely, as you were saying then, George, to the next one, which is what you were after, is this one. Do you want to lead on this slide, mate?
Yeah, so the Retrofit Lab. The big one that a lot of people noticed was obviously the siege battery, the turret defense stuff in it, and it was a universal oops on that, and that's one of the things that a lot of people noticed after the last raid. But there was a couple other things that weren't working in there, and some of these I actually did test before, and I think there was 2 other people that had reported the other stuff, and I can't remember who it was, but I know that map speed was one of them that I had messed with, and there was crap, I can't remember. I think it was one of the reloads that I had done a little bit on. But what I'm actually really impressed that they came out and gave us the list. Like, given past practice, I was half expecting them to just go, yeah, siege battery's fixed, and then not say anything else. But they found a whole lot of stuff. They spent a ton of time, because once we started finding a couple other ones, they were like, okay, they went through like all of it to try and figure out what the hell happened and what was affected. And I think, and I hope, and I'm knocking on wood and I'm knocking on my skull, I think they got it all. I think all the retro stuff is fixed now going forward. All the stuff is the stuff that they found that had been affected by this. So you're going to see some differences in things. Like, you're going to see some of the splash, especially like the monos for your FM. You're probably going to see a little bit more splash out on the outside of it. You might see some of the explosive reloads. I think one of the things that stuck out was, and some other people also noticed, was on the explosive reload, that one started because the bus, it was strange because the bus was firing at different rates than the sloths at times. And it was just, I don't know, the whole thing, all the stuff was just like wonky as hell. But they went through it all. I think they went through the entire Retrofit lab and checked. So hopefully we have a nice level thing for this and we can keep going.
So, Liam, looking at that list, what things concern you at that list that we thought were retrofitted that clearly weren't, and now they're going to be going forward? There's a couple there that sort of like, I'm a bit yikes.
Well, to be honest, like, the whole list is quite scary, really, isn't it? To think
Well,
all of that.
particularly Sloths, I'm thinking, the very first one, Splash. If Splash Retro to R15 wasn't actually doing the extra, bloody hell, they make a big enough splash anyway.
Yeah, I mean, explosive reload, splash, ballistic.
I mean, put those two together, you know, for your
accuracy. If that wasn't working on things like Bucky's and that, do you know what I mean? Ballistic
No,
reload.
but just remember, it's not that the accuracy buffs are not working. It's just that the extra accuracy you got from retrofitting was not being applied.
Right.
Yeah.
But on some things, that can make a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, not on Bucky's because you're shooting against a building, but if you're talking about the Chaos Chain Gun and you're trying to get as many of those things to hit one of the new ships as you can, that makes a big difference.
And base defense, yeah, very much so. So,
same with launcher accuracy as well. If radioactive accuracy, I mean, when you retrofit something and then you look at the stats and you believe that to be your true stats, it's quite shocking that a lot of that stuff wasn't working.
Yep.
And as you said, though, I'm glad they picked it up, mate. They've gone through and they've tested each one to make sure it's actually doing what it should be. And if this is the genuine list, at least they've had the honesty to post it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not like angry in the fact that I say, I can't believe all this wasn't working. You guys are, kill kickside kind of thing. Like everyone tends to come out with the pitchforks, but they've took the time. They've gone through it. We picked up on Siege Battery quite specifically last raid, as George said, and they took the time to go through everything and come clean and say, look, this wasn't working, but now it is, and that's a great thing and a great start.
And one thing that just to kind of extrapolate a little bit from what Mark had mentioned, that in base defense, like some of these things actually fall into things like the Phlogiston launcher that's in the retrofit lab that has, one of the, I think the thing that increases is fire rate and accuracy. Is that right? There's a couple of things where the accuracy and stuff, that like these things are also on turret stuff in your retrofit lab.
Yeah. So, and on your mega ship, don't forget as well. Quite important stuff. So that does carry over into other things than just the things that you hit on the map. It was a big project for him, and I know there was a lot of resources that went into it. So I'm really kind of glad, and I'm glad that it's fixed, and I'm actually kind of psyched that it's fixed, because now I don't have to worry about it anymore.
I wonder if we'll all be seeing like changes to fleets and ships. I wonder if the difference is going to be very noticeable for a lot of us in terms of like older fleets and specials we've been using for some time. I mean, I wonder if we'll see changes in the way our fleets act and operate.
Well, I'm not entirely sure when the issue happened, because I for a while I actually did have a reference point, because it was when we noticed the siege battery before the raid set, and it wasn't until the raid started that we actually had something very easy to compare it to, because a lot of these are very, very hard to test. I mean, you have to either have a very specific, build setup or turret setup. I mean, it was tough to test, but in the last raid, because it was siege, it was very easy to see the difference between a frontline countermeasure ship and a siege battery force ship.
The thing is with a lot of these, though, mate, is like, let's just say you are progressing in ballistic reload. On, like you said, chain guns, they make such a mess when they fire anyway. It's very difficult to see sometimes some of these things actually happen, and because you're progressing from the level 1 reload, retro to the level 2 to level 3 to level 4, and sometimes it can take a little while. You're like, oh, I don't know if this is working or not. Well, it must be working because it's giving me the number. I'm on retrofit number 6 sort of stuff. But then once you've got to retro level 15, you can not see if you can go, right, I'm going to untick retro level 15 and go and do some testing myself. You'd have to have somebody with identical ship to go out and then hit the identical target in the identical way and that sort of stuff.
Right. Well, and I mean, one of the things that, so for some of these, what you can do is put on something that's a known quantity. Like you put on a crap ship that doesn't have any native buffs, and then throw on something that you can time, like a long reload type thing, a long reload type thing. But the thing is that takes time and shipyard time and coin, and while I'm glad that there's communication lines so it can get reported and fixed, I really wish that they could test stuff live in the game themselves. Like one of the things that people complained about before was that, they can't put a base in the game because everyone's going to get upset and this and that. And I'm like, I would rather have them have a Kixeye base in the world somewhere, and you'll see them testing, a new hull a day or two ahead of time, because it's in the live server. And I would much rather have them do that, and people go, whatever the complaint was. I'd rather have them test it live, though. I know originally the problem was everyone's like, well, when they did that, the hackers got a hold of it, and they were running around the map with stuff before the raid. And now it's server side, you can't do that. So why not put the Kixeye bases back into the map and let them test right in the live server, because that's where you're going to catch the stuff. Because the test server and the live server are two different, sandboxes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on because we've got a couple of minutes to go. And this last slide's for Ren. This one's for you, mate.
No, I just thought that was funny. They introduced Retrofit for Fangtooth and Hunter by mistake. Some people saw it and started the retrofits, and then when they rolled back the updates, tada! All their ships were gunboats. And I just found that hilarious.
It is funny, I have to say.
Probably carry more res as gunboats.
We were trying to get them to
Now-
R16, man.
Yeah, pew 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 pew. Kill them with gunboats.
It wouldn't be so bad if they were golden gunboats.
You don't want much, do you? So just out of interest, I'll just so that's the last slide. We'll just cut that for a second, and I'll stop presenting. Sorry, that and that particular screen. I've just thought to myself, hang on a minute. I wonder if everybody knows actually where you get that from, because not everybody always goes over the Kickstarter site and that sort of stuff. So I just thought we'd have a little just confirmation for people, just to say, where that particular screen come from and how you get to it, sort of stuff. So where's the breaking present button there? So yeah, this screen here, when you go into support, okay, and I don't want to treat anybody as suck egg, so if you know it sort of stuff, but you get this thing here and everyone just goes in and goes, I want a ticket, and that's the only thing they look at, because it's all about, I want my coins, or I want some
X. Oh, you got live chat. Oh,
I always had live chat.
How much gold you paying them?
Can't tell you.
That's what I want to know.
But go into alerts, okay then. All right then. And sometimes if you go into alerts itself, and there they are, look. Okay then. So my fleet is stuck in battle. So if someone's put something up, or if Kickstarter putting out a message, instead of going trying to find it, there they are. And then you click on that one there, and there it is. And you can follow that one. And it will tell you then, a little message will come up your thing to say it's fixed. So you can get to different alerts in different places. So but I just thought I'd show you that, just in case some people don't know how it works. Nobby saying in chat there, I've got live chat, but it doesn't work. It does for me.
I think it works occasionally. It's not got anything to do with how much you spend. I should have said that, because
I chat to everybody, so I don't mind.
No, you should have said that, because it's true.
Tinfoil hat moment. No, basically, it is if someone is available to live chat at the time, then it will highlight for you. And if they aren't, if they're busy live chatting to someone else, it won't.
Oh, don't lie. Mark threatened to firebomb the village that they live in. Come on.
I get live chat occasionally, but to be honest, I find live chat less helpful, because you can't blag someone if you're chatting to them live. Do you know what I mean?
It's a lot easier to post something on TFC and just tag George.
Yeah, tagging George works every time. And if not, you just tag one of Ren's videos in the background comments, because he likes that. I was reading some of his comments this week in some of his videos. I was laughing my head off reading some of the stuff that's in there.
It's not Uncle George, it's Uncle Ren. So let's get that right. Yeah. We'll tag Ren into it. He's got plenty of time for that.
Papa Sorry.
Let's get things straight. No, you guys are getting it all wrong. You can link George's blogs, you can link my videos, but if you're gonna tag somebody, you tag Robin.
Oh, no, talking to Robin. Robin's
because Robin doesn't have any friends, so she appreciates when she gets tagged in a post, because she gets to talk to somebody.
Look, mate, she's not here to defend herself. She's not so don't pick on Robin.
Well, but that's the whole point. She's not here, so we can all agree that people should tag her.
Can somebody do a get well soon, Robin, on our page? Well, we'll leave it up, all right. So, and then everybody just go, yeah, get well soon, Robin.
Well, I was chatting to Robin yesterday, though, and one thing she did say to me is she really enjoyed PMs. Like she found it great, like interacting with the PMs.
You're such an arsehole.
One thing she really
I was going to say wanker, but asshole's good too.
And certain technical questions, like if you've got a question you just don't want to put on the page, something silly, just PM Robin. That's what she's there for.
Oh, bless her. Get well soon, Robin Hun. All right. We all miss you, clearly. Oh, dear. Right. Okay. We've hit the hour. That's us. We're done. Thanks all for tuning in. Thanks to the admin guys. Okay. That was actually a really sensible chat. I'm sure there's going to be people with hair on fire once they realize all the changes to the PvP aspect. But I sort of personally don't mind it. They're digging into the weeds of well, what is busted? Let's put things correct. And then if it does mean we're going to have a better summer in 2018, then I'm all for it. If they goof it up, vote with your thank you very much, but no thanks buttons, and then do one. So it's simple as that, isn't it? But give them a chance. Is all I can suggest. I'm not asking you. It's your game. It's your money. Do what you like. But I'm prepared to give it a chance. Got nothing else to do anyway because I'm a boring git. Right. I'm in that sort of mood. Whatever.
I called you other names.
You always do, mate. I call you the Silver Fox these days, mate. Don't worry about it. Right. Don't know why. I've not even been drinking. Enjoy the rest of the week. For those that are around, we'll obviously catch you at the weekend on the open mic. It's not going to be the SDS7 show, okay? Because there is obviously PMS as well. So if anybody else also wants to come on, then please feel free. All you need is a microphone, okay, and a voice, and keep the proverbials out as best you can, and then we'll let you stay. It's as good as that.
And you're not drinking, Mark.
Yeah, not drinking. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm having a 2015 Bonacosta Valpolicella. It's good.
Oh, what?
Wine. I'm having red wine.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, mate. So I'm very
Why can't you just say red wine instead of trying to sell it?
I have beer and cider. That's it. That's my limit.
I have a pint of Stella.
Wife beater.
Wearing a vest.
Wife beater.
Wearing a vest with like food stains on it.
You heathens.
Right. So, okay, Mr. Smooth. Speak to you later. Okay, then. The rest of you, get off my show. Right. Cheers.
Yep.
Have a nice evening.
Have a good night, everybody.